Hello and welcome to a very special episode of the Fall Start Fantasy Podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Edgecombe, joined as always with the illustrious, the whopperiest, the most Western Kansan teacher of all time, Josh Newshaper. How you doing, Whopper?
Oh, not too bad. Currently enjoying a drive home and beautiful Kansas landscapes that you see along the way, aka nothing.
Have you seen a tree in the last 20 minutes?
Surprisingly, yes.
Ooh, might be a new tree out there.
Maybe, you never know. It's hard to tell sometimes.
Well, we are also joined by our first guest of today's episode, Maliki. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Excited for the new year.
Yeah, it was a great draft yesterday. What was your overall takeaways from, drafting in, I think, was this your first draft in person?
No, I had my first draft in person.
Okay. Okay. Well, what was your takeaways from the draft?
I thought it was first of all a great experience to have it in person with at least as many people as it was possible. Outside of that, I feel both happy with my team and also terrified that I'm going to get dead last.
That's right. So what we're doing today is we're inviting as many of our guests as would like to join, and we're just going to go ahead and talk about the highs and the lows from yesterday's in-person draft. Yesterday, Preston, Maliki, myself, Kyler, Whopper, Chris, and Billy all got together in person, and then we had Ethan and Jaden on Discord. So, next year hopefully we can get Sam, Brandon, and Milo, everybody, and Ethan in there, and everybody in person. But it was a blast. I had a great time. Whopper, did you have any takeaways from that?
Food was good, venue was good, everything was good.
Yeah, it was a good time. I'm looking forward to this season. I felt like we had a really good draft, except for that 101, but that worked out for me. So
No shit.
well, let's go ahead and talk about real quick. Let's talk about the My Guys first. So draft went Preston, Maliki, myself, Kyler, Brandon, Josh, Chris, Sam, Ethan, Milo, Jaden, and Billy. We had Lad McConkey, we had Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas Jr., Brandon Aubrey, Christian Watson was Brandon's pick, I think.
Yep. Christian Watson.
Yep. Tyler Lockett, as always, for Josh. We had... who was Chris's?
Justin Tucker for Chris.
Justin Tucker. Thank you. Man, this is getting difficult. Sam had...
Nick Chubb.
Oh, okay, Nick Chubb. Man, 8th round pick. That's expensive.
Yeah.
Then we got Ethan with Gardner Minshew, of course. We've got Milo with Najee Harris. Jaden didn't go with Blake Jarwin, surprisingly. I mean, truly shocking. Went with Chris Godwin instead. And then Billy had...
Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks. Yeah, didn't choose a Chiefs player. Wanted Brandon Cooks. What was your takeaway, Josh? Which one surprised you the most? Which one was the least?
The most surprising, you just kind of alluded to it, was Billy not taking a Chiefs player.
Yeah.
Overall takeaways, I felt like we made a good change when it came to my guys, with the exception of Ethan. Just no QBs this time around, because I felt like it gave some teams an unfair advantage last year. So overall, I really liked it. I really liked your and Malachi's pick of Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas Jr. Of course, this guy loved my pick, Tyler Lockett. It's a classic. But outside that, they all made sense.
Yeah, I agree across the board. Maliki, walk us through the Xavier Worthy. Big believer this year?
Excuse me, you cut out there.
Oh, sorry about that. Xavier Worthy, a big believer this year, aren't you?
You've seen in another league, in our Dynasty League, that I did everything I could to get Xavier Worthy, and during the time that Josh was giving out the rules for the My Guy, I had already figured out that Xavier Worthy qualified. I wanted a guaranteed Chiefs player I like Xavier Worthy. There was no way I was going to be able to get Pacheco. So I just leapt for it, and I believe in him, and I'm really hoping he can be a really good deep threat, get me some points this year.
Well, I like that a lot. Now, we'll just go ahead and talk with the rest of that draft. How were you feeling that your draft went? Started with Bijan, London, started 2 Falcons, but looks like the team turned out pretty good. How did you feel?
I felt really great about all my starters, but the bench is where I ran into problems.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really get super great wide receivers. I just picked up Lad McConkey off of free agency.
Wait.
But I ended up drafting 2 backup quarterbacks because I didn't look at when their bye weeks were.
Wait, did you just say you picked up Lad McConkey?
Not Lad McConkey. Sorry, Jalen Polk. Jalen Polk.
Okay, I was like, wait, that was Preston's 8th-round pick. Why was he on waivers?
No, sorry, I
Okay.
already dropped one of the QBs I picked up for my bench
Gotcha.
to pick up Jalen Polk. But even then, I'm not too happy with my bench, but I'm happy with my starters.
Gotcha. Okay. I like the starting lineup pretty good, and I think if you're going to start with Bijan Robinson, there's no reason you can't go Drake London there. Like, we know that when teams have great offense and there's 2 great players, that it doesn't matter that it's from the same team. If years past, you went Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Joe Mixon, you were never upset that Joe Mixon got a touchdown and Jamar Chase didn't. It's only when it's like a really bad offense. If you have, trying to think of a good example. You have Rashad White. No, that was a good offense. You've got Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave. Then you're like, okay, this is kind of awful. But
I'm hoping Kirk Cousins is able to get Drake London his breakout year that he's been pushing for. So he's skilled enough to do it.
Yeah, I think he should be, and hopefully he's fully healthy. And if not, I mean, the 101 in our draft was Michael Penix. He's right there to take over and lead the team if needed. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into questions for our super special guest we have starting us off. Maliki, do you want to start with your favorite player, your least favorite player, or your most surprising player?
I'll do my. I got 2 least favorites.
Ooh, okay. Extra hate on the episode. I'm excited.
First off, I think Nick Chubb as Sam's My Guy was a bad idea. I think he, mainly for the fact that he was too pricey. Nick Chubb is still not even playing the first few weeks, most likely, and I'm worried that he'll never probably even be at the peak that he was. And then I have a certain pick that was stolen from me, Sam Laporta in round 4. Cam, you took that pick from me, and I'm still mad about it.
Hey, that was a good pick. I like that pick. Good pick, Cam. Yeah, I totally agree about Nick Chubb. If he was, my guy in like the 12th round, I'd be like, okay,
he'd be worth it.
Yeah, we could call that, because if Nick Chubb, gets back to form, that'd be great. But we're talking about a guy who is 29, I want to say. 28, 29. He's getting up there. Yeah, 28.
Coming off a season-ending knee injury.
It's just a horrible tune. ACL, MCL, meniscus, everything just gone from the knee. And it's like, okay, we're, a full year later, and he's still, not able to practice. I think kind of just lit his 8th-round pick off fire. Not a drop. You got to hold him, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
If it's a long-term bet for Nick Chubb.
So what was your favorite pick then? Those were two least favorite. One of them just hating on my team a little bit. What was your favorite pick? And it can't be your
My
team.
favorite pick, my favorite pick was Chris in the 4th round. I'm surprised I didn't even I forgot about him too. DJ Moore in the 4th round for Chris, I think was a steal.
Yeah, DJ Moore is always awesome. I've never been disappointed having him in fantasy.
Yeah. I myself completely missed out on him. A ton of other people did, and he dropped all the way down to 4th, to the 4th round, and I think that's like a steal of like a round or two behind.
A big believer in Chicago. I see it. I see the vision. Whopper, what do you think? DJ Moore, great pick, and Nick Chubb, bad pick?
So Nick Chubb is definitely overpriced. They're assuming he's going to be back pretty much 4 weeks after the start of the season. That's the only time I think he's maybe even worth the 8th round pick, just because it's still Nick Chubb. If he comes back to even 70% of what he was before the injury, he's still one of the best running backs in the league. The DJ Moore pick, I do like DJ Moore as a player. I personally don't like picking him up in the 4th, but that's just me. But I don't like Chicago this year. Too many mouths to feed for that offense with the rookie that I don't think is going to be as good as people think.
Yeah, I'm looking at the receivers went right after Michael Pittman, Malik Neighbors, Rashee Rice, Devonta Smith, and if we're being honest, DJ Moore is definitely the best player of all those guys,
Yes.
and probably has one of the best situations for a number one receiver with this super talented rookie coming in, but he's also got a lot of competition. And best quarterback he's ever had, hopefully, with Caleb Williams. So maybe he can reach a new level, be a first, second round pick next year. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I always liked DJ Moore, and I've never been burned by him. So picking him out of the 4th round, I think is a great thing to do, and it makes a lot of sense for Chris's team, considering he started running back, quarterback, receiver. So it's like, okay,
yeah,
this is a double flex league. You got to get some receivers, and I think that's a safe guy to have there.
Yep.
All right, so Maliki, with your last pick, what was the most surprising pick of the entire draft, other than Michael Penix 101? Because I don't think anything could compete with that.
All right, now this is going to sound a bit debatable. Nico Collins, I think, was surprising that he went in the 2nd round.
Okay, see, this is interesting. That is exactly what I think Billy said last night when we were asking him, like, what you thought was surprising. Nico Collins, 202 to Jaden, right after Garrett Wilson. Big believer. What is it about Nico Collins that worries you personally?
I'm kind of similar to what Josh was saying about DJ Moore. Nico Collins is in an offense with a lot of hungry receivers. Nico Collins maybe coming in as, I believe he is the wide receiver 1 for the Texans right now, but he's coming in with Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, Joe Mixon, who likes catching passes too. I believe they got their fourth string wide receiver is also pretty good. That's just a lot. And Nico Collins, I feel like, will be a good receiver, but I don't think he's going to be good enough to where he deserves a 202 pick.
I can totally 100% understand that. Nico Collins was a guy who, when healthy last year, averaged, I want to say, a 27% target share and something like 10 yards per target, which is just an unreal rate. Guys who are great players, your Amon-Ra St. Browns, your Justin Jeffersons, they're around like 9. They're in the upper 8s yards per target. So Nico Collins is a whole yard over that. It's crazy how efficient he was. And it's like, if Stroud takes a step back at all, or if Diggs or Dell just takes a little bit more of that target share, Collins going to be, not, I don't think he's going to be goose egg. He's not going up there and putting 4 points, on it. But he could just be like a 12-point guy. And that's pretty scary at a 202 price. I totally like that. It was a surprise. I was hoping that he would fall to me at the 210. So seeing him go 8 picks before that, it was pretty surprising. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Malachi. Anything else you wanted to share with all of our listeners?
Um, I'm gonna win this year, or I'm gonna get dead last, and we'll see what happens.
I love the complete confidence of I'm gonna win this year, and then just the complete backing away of that. Just or I'll finish last. It's like
Either way, I don't regret my draft choices. I live by them, even though I took Bijan at number 2 when I could have taken CMC.
yeah, Jared Goff to victory. That's what the team's gonna be. All right. Well, thank you so much,
Thanks for having me
Malachi.
on.
We'll go ahead and take a quick break before we have our next guest on. Thank you. Welcome back. We are joined by our next guest here. We have Sam on the line. Sam, how are you doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good.
I am honestly super pumped that you said you would be joining the podcast today because you were in Emporia yesterday, but didn't get to draft in person with us, and I was really sad because I wanted to see how you were doing and talk to you.
Yeah.
So I'm
It was
pumped. I'm pumped
definitely-
you're here.
Yeah, it was definitely kind of a letdown for having to work, but I was able to actually get some drafting done and not have to auto draft, so that was
Yeah, that was exciting. We were
was the
all of us in person, and we saw your, the light next to your name. That means you're in the draft rooms. Go green, and we're like, oh man, Sam's here. He's drafting his team. So, walk us through. How'd you feel the team turned out?
honestly, I think there's a couple picks that I would have switched around. I was kind of talking with Josh earlier today, but I think I like my wide receiver room, and I think I have quite a few people later in the draft that have some hopefully pretty good upside. So
Yeah, I gotta be honest. Malachi said his least favorite pick of the entire draft was my guy, Nick Chubb. What do you take the hate from Malachi? Where do you think that comes from? Does he hate you as a person too, or is this just a Nick Chubb thing for him?
this might just be a Nick Chubb thing. I believe last year he even had Nick Chubb, but
Okay, so he's been personally burned by Nick Chubb. That's why he's hating.
I believe so. He might have traded him away before, but yeah, I think it's a hatred towards Nick Chubb.
Gotcha. What was that, Josh?
I'd say last year it was Jaden who had, at least in this league, Jaden had Nick Chubb. I can't
Oh,
speak
really?
for other leagues for Malachi, but at least in this league it was Jaden last year.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it was another league, the Actives League, but
Gotcha. Okay, I can understand that 100% then, hating on it. Well, let's go ahead and jump in. What was your favorite pick of the entire draft? We had 15 rounds. We start, 2 running back, 2 receiver, a quarterback, tight end, and 2 flex positions. So it can be a little important to, make sure that bench has some solid guys on it. But what was your favorite pick of the entire draft?
do you mind if I give an honorable mention?
I would love to hear if you have 2 or 3 favorites, 2, 3 least favorites. Go
Okay.
for it. It's up to you. It's your time.
Gotcha. Well, I can give a top 3. So, for third, I've got to say, getting Justin Jefferson to fall down to 8 was pretty surprising to me. I know there's quite a bit of risk there, but you can see with how I drafted, I'm totally okay with risk. I tend to hope and favor for the high upside.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Deebo Samuel. There's definitely a lot of upside there and a lot of downside.
Mhm.
I kind of like it.
And then I'll give the second to Amon St. Brown at the 5. You could have taken CD Lamb. You probably even could have taken someone like Breece Hall or Jamar Chase. But taking Amon St. Brown after the last couple of years that he's had was honestly a great pick in my mind for Brandon.
Okay, you like him more than CeeDee Lamb.
I think so. I think he's got quite a bit of a little bit more of consistency in my book than CD Lamb does.
Interesting. Okay, I totally get it. He was your my guy last year, wasn't he? Third round pick or so.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Yep.
you just wish he fell to you, but you're okay with Justin Jefferson.
Totally.
Josh, how do you feel about the CeeDee Lamb versus Amon-Ra St. Brown? You obviously got Lamb, but you didn't really have a choice there at 6.
Correct. Once I realized I was going to get one or the other, I was happy. To me, CD has a higher ceiling than Amon-Ra. He's just a little bit more explosive in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of like what Sam said there, Amon-Ra, he's just more consistent, so he has a safer floor. And so you want more upside or a better floor. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, totally get that. All right, Sam, so that was your second favorite. What was your favorite pick of the entire draft? So far, 2 first-round picks. Going with the safe route up here.
Yeah, this draft was quite a bit of a shocker for numerous reasons. So I feel like a lot of the exciting stuff happened in those first few rounds. My top pick though for favorite pick has to be your second round pick with Devon Achane.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Crazy to me that he fell that far below, Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Etienne. Honestly, I didn't even see him there. I would have taken him over Jonathan Taylor, but
wow. Well, I'm very glad you didn't, because I know Taylor would not have made it to me, and I was happy with either of those guys. So.
But yeah, Devon Achane, after the season he had last year, and hopefully with a lot more of the running back load, with taking Raheem Mostert a lot of his load off. Hopefully Devon Achane comes back from that injury and has just as good of a season as he did toward the latter half of last season.
I'm praying for it. I have a lot of Achane in a lot of my leagues, so hopefully he can fix it. Josh, I don't think I ever got your opinion. What do you think of Devon Achane this year?
He's that home run hitter. Any single time he touches the football, it can be a touchdown. You just never know. Downside, I feel like he might break if you sneeze on him, just because he's so small. So he's the glass cannon. He's either going to do a ton of damage or he'll break after someone sneezes on him.
I like that. I think I'll take the risk with it. Yeah. So Sam, those are your favorite picks. Do you have 3 least favorite? You got 1 least favorite? What are you thinking there on the hating side?
I definitely have a couple least favorites. Let's see here. With honestly, with my number 3 least favorite pick, it's gonna be one of my own. I did not like that I took Austin Eckler when I did.
Okay. Walk me through, what were you thinking at the time when you did pick him?
I was kind of in panic mode because I had realized that I only had Jonathan Taylor and Nick Chubb,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I need something, like I need a running back, and normally I don't go for committee running backs, but I panicked, realized he was there, and hoped on a dream that he gets a bigger load, or gets more value than some of the other guys that were left.
Yeah, the Austin Eckler, you were the last person to pick your RB2. I'm looking at it here. Kyler picked James Conner in the 6th, and Chris picked Aaron Jones in the 6th as well. They both
actually
had a couple RBs already as well.
Actually, Josh picked Javonte Williams
in the 8th.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Wow. I'll have to get Josh's opinion on the RB punting take there, but Austin Eckler, I mean, we don't know what the Commanders are going to look like. I don't think it was that bad. It was a little bit of a floor, I think. Getting a guy with a safe floor as your RB2 instead of a high
Mhm.
ceiling. But Nick Chubb is kind of the opposite, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Can totally understand that. Josh, what was your take on Austin Eckler? Sounds like you already told Sam you hate that pick.
I mean, I don't hate it per se. It's just, can he get back to even somewhat what he used to be? He's still got that receiving game option, so because we're a PPR league, he still got that safe floor, I guess, in that regards. He might not get the touchdowns, but he'll at least have the receiving down, so it's an okay pick, because I don't hate it, I don't love it, but it's just kind of there.
Understandable. All right, Sam, what were the other picks you did not like?
All right. With honestly, I think the next pick that I'd probably go with. I love you, Josh, but Cooper Kupp going where he did. I think you could have had a couple other receivers that were left there. No shame for picking Cooper Kupp. I just think that you could have had a couple better picks at that spot.
Interesting. So right after Kupp went Waddle, your pick Adams, Mike Evans, DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel, DJ Moore. Would you take all those guys over Kupp, or would you take one or two of them over Kupp?
I think that there's. I mean, I would have taken Devontae. Obviously, I did. Maybe even Deebo, but I just think that with Puka, the way he is now, and with Cooper kind of seemingly on the latter half of his career, and what some people are predicting to be his decline, I just don't feel he's as good as some of the other picks he could have had there. Maybe even Mike Evans.
Josh, Sam just said he thinks you're ugly and he hates you. How do you respond to this?
Love your hair, Sam. Love your hair. That's all I got.
Now, Cooper Kupp's got that upside, but I totally understand the offense might just run through Nakua at this point. Whopper, what were you thinking when you picked Kupp at 306? Because I remember in the draft, I think you were happy about that, weren't you?
Oh yeah, no, he was the one I was eyeing the entire time. I even thought about taking him over Pacheco in the second round, to be completely honest.
Wow, big believer.
One of the main reasons is, if you look towards the end of last year, if you look at Cooper Kupp when he's finally getting back on the field versus Puka, Cooper Kupp was better. He got more targets, he got more receiving yards. I'm not sure about touchdowns, but when those two were on the field together, the offense still ran through Cooper Kupp. Also add in the fact that right now Puka's dealing with some kind of knee issue. At least to start the season, I think Kupp's by far the better option.
Totally understand that. All right, Sam, you've insulted my co-host. Are you coming for me next with your least favorite pick in the entire draft? Reveal to us number one.
Number one, and this is probably going to be a shocker, but I don't think Brandon Ayuk should have gone as high as he did.
Whoa, why is that?
Oh, shit.
Last year, I want to say he was the wide receiver 14. I'm counting it real quick right here. He went as a wide receiver 14.
Yeah.
So walk us through the hate.
So, there's no hate towards him. I think he's going to have, some pretty good value, but again, it's a similar situation for different reasons, but it's a similar situation of, I think there were other receivers that he could have taken, and honestly, I think with as much talent as there is in the receiver room now, with some of their drafts, like they drafted Ricky Pearsall. Bless that guy. Hope he's doing better after yesterday.
Yeah. He got shot crazy.
But they have Deebo. They have
It's a lot of weapons. Christian McCaffrey.
It's a lot of weapons.
Kittle,
Christian
yeah.
McCaffrey, yeah.
How consistent can his target share be?
Yeah, honestly, to me, it looked like the Niners before they finally solidified a contract, were preparing to not have him anymore. So, I think with all that preparation, his load is going to be a lot lighter, and I don't see as much value as he had last season.
I get that, and guys who they hold out. He wasn't practicing in training camp. Let's not pretend that training camp is an important part. Like, it's very important to get these guys into shape and get them, keeping up with the offense. IU could start pretty slow trying to figure this back out.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Totally get that. Josh, what was your take on the Ayuk pick? This was the 302 for Malachi's team as his wide receiver 2.
I'd say, given the makeup of Malachi's team at this point, I didn't hate it. Ayuk, once he gets going, he is one of the best receivers in the league. He's on one of the best offenses in the league. Granted, it could be just a simply Debo game where Ayuk maybe gets 2 targets. But to me, he is the safest outside of CMC pick in that entire 49ers offense, just because he's going to get at least a few targets every single game.
Totally get that. All right, Sam, last thing we have to ask for you, what was your most surprising pick of the entire draft? Other than Michael Penix 101.
Honestly, I've got to say, for the group of guys that we are, and as many Chiefs fans as we have, an honorable mention for surprise pick has to be Travis Kelce, falling to the 3rd round.
Oh, you're saying you were surprised that he didn't go sooner. Okay.
Yeah.
With a lot of Chiefs fans,
I know we have.
Get it.
Yeah, I know we got a lot of Chiefs fans, and I know in the past we've had, like, someone take him in the 2nd, or someone even take him in the 1st, I'm sure, but yeah, seeing him go in the 3rd and that turnaround with Preston's pick was definitely pretty shocking to me, to go that late.
Totally get it. Mahomes and Pacheco were both 2nd-round picks. Xavier Worthy, a rookie, has not played a single snap in the NFL, was a my guy in the 7th round. Marquise Brown and and Rashee Rice both went, I want to say, 2 rounds above ADP. We're Chiefs homers and we drafted like it, but you're right. Kelce was the only guy who went, I think, at his ADP.
Yeah. But I've got to say the most shocking pick for me was to watch Maliki take Tua in the 13th round and get a 3rd quarterback. That was wild, especially not having any sort of context. He explained to me what happened afterwards, but not having any context, I was utterly shocked.
Yeah, that was back-to-back quarterbacks, too. 12th round, he's 11th pick, Justin Herbert, and then 13th round Tua. This is all to back up Jared Goff.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he has dropped Herbert at this point. I picked up Jalen Polk from the Patriots, but yeah, that was a bit of a thinker.
Yeah, I mean, if it were me, I honestly would have left it at Justin Herbert. Like, that's your backup. I wouldn't worry about getting somebody else and risking losing the value of another pick. I mean, he could have had someone. He could have gotten another running back. He could have gotten, I'm looking. There's Jerry Jeudy, Xavier Legette. Honestly, there were quite a couple picks that he could have taken, and he just lost out on that because he took Tua because he favored Tua over Justin Herbert and accidentally picked Justin Herbert.
Yep. Hopefully, a 13th round pick doesn't ruin his team. Hopefully, he can recover. But it is a thinker. Walker, any opinions on the 3 QB team? He wasn't the only 3 QB team, as Ethan also had with Purdy, Rodgers, and Minshew. But he was the only one who didn't have, the Rodgers and Minshew were 2 last-round picks for Ethan.
Yeah, no, I remember because Maliki was the one that sat next to me during the draft, and every now and then he'd ask me for some advice. I remember when he picked the back-to-back there, he literally only did it because he realized two of his quarterbacks had the same bye week. So this morning when he dropped Herbert, I was one of like, yeah, you probably should just drop one now and get the guy that you want that's on waivers before anyone else can get to him. So it was confusing. I get the fear all of a sudden out of nowhere when you just realize, oh no, my quarterbacks have the same bye week. I understand the fear, but yeah, I don't know.
Didn't think that one through all the way, but that's okay. Hopefully, works. His team should be able to recover from that. I don't think it's gonna kill him, but wasn't surprising. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining for the podcast. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today, Sam. Anything else you wanted to share with everyone?
Back-to-back city, hopefully.
Ooh, calling the
Planning
shot.
to keep that trophy. Planning to keep that trophy.
Got to get that. Did they get the trophy to you yesterday?
Yes, sir.
All right. Where are you
sir.
putting that?
I was
Putting
able
that in
to.
a trophy case? Where's that sitting now?
It's still sitting on the table, but yeah, I was somehow able to pry it out of Josh's hands.
He did not want to let it go. I heard him.
It was painful.
Well, we'll get that updated. And thanks. Thank you for joining, Sam. We'll be right back with our next guest. And welcome back. We are joined by our next guest. We've got Chrissy P in the chat. Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are y'all?
Doing good. Got back into Kansas City at 2:30 last night, I want to say, and Josh is currently driving
That sounds
back.
horrible.
So, I've gotten some sleep, and we're good to go.
Well, sweet.
Yeah.
Looking forward.
Well, we're just going through, each of the. We had Sam, we had Maliki on, asking everybody, what were your favorite picks? What was your least favorite picks? So I know that you have some guys you want to talk about as the most surprising picks. So let's jump into that first.
Yeah. I was definitely surprised that Christian McCaffrey fell to 3. I mean, you're quite lucky that he did. I don't know what Maliki was thinking, letting him get down to you. I know what Preston was thinking. He was just being Preston. But that was definitely probably one of the most surprising things of the draft. But then everything kind of fell into place. I wasn't really surprised with any other picks, I guess.
Really?
Super surprised, I should say.
Okay.
To me, most of the picks made sense.
I get it, absolutely. I thought CeeDee Lamb going at 6 was a little surprising.
Yeah.
I thought he would go right after McCaffrey, but then we went Tyreek Hill, and I was like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And then Brandon took Amon-Ra, and I was like, I would have taken CD, but I get it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I wasn't complaining.
Yeah,
Go for
you
it.
got Breece Hall there at pick 7, and how did you feel the team worked out starting out with Breece?
I'm actually really pleased. The 7th pick is notoriously bad, so I'm so lucky that Breece Hall fell to 7. And then I did reach a little on a few people that I wanted, but I wanted to make sure that I could actually get a full decent roster. And I think I turned out really good. I know Patrick Mahomes' second round was definitely a bit of a shocker, but in the past I've had trouble getting a quality quarterback at the 7th pick, so I'm a little weak on running back, but hopefully I can remedy that as the season goes along.
Yeah, totally understand the Mahomes pick, and we said this when I think it was Sam was on or Maliki was on. I like the Waddle DJ Moore as their wide receivers 1 and 2. I think that rounded out the team pretty good. With
Yeah,
first few
I
picks.
definitely feel really good about those two. And my bench actually isn't terrible this year, which is awesome. So.
All right, so let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and jump into what was your favorite pick of the draft, and it could be your own, but we like to compliment each other on this podcast. So, cool. Tell me how much you loved my picks.
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, honestly, my favorite pick of the draft was Christian McCaffrey at 3.
Sure.
Just because, like, of course you're going to take that, but, like, the value of Christian McCaffrey at number 3 is just crazy. Even if the circumstances surrounding the pick are a little controversial, to say the least.
Yeah, I did have to give Maliki $100 to take Bijan so I could get McCaffrey, but it's it's okay.
I don't know what was he thinking. I just don't, like, my brain can't comprehend.
From what he said, gut feeling. That's it.
That, I guess. I also really like Justin Jefferson at 8. I know he doesn't have a quarterback, but I really trust Justin Jefferson to keep doing his thing.
Absolutely. Jefferson, we saw last year, this guy was really QB proof. And maybe you could say that, they were dialing up extra plays for him because he, was extra motivated, and maybe he won't be with Sam Darnold. But, this guy's awesome. He's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, did you have any other favorite picks of the draft? Or you want to go into your least favorite
picks? I think those are my 2, like, real favorite picks. For sure.
Okay. Then let's turn up the heat. What did you hate? Tell me how much Josh's team sucks. What were your least favorite picks in the entire draft?
I'm not a fan of the Saquon Barkley pick by Billy.
Interesting.
I just don't.
First pick from Billy was Saquon Barkley. You said nope. What is it about him?
I just got a feeling. I don't know. I know he's, like, good. Of course he's amazing at football, but, like, I just have a really bad feeling about it, and I don't know why.
Okay, so when Maliki says he has a feeling about, picking Bijan over McCaffrey, it's just a gut feeling, something about it. It's awful. But when you just got a gut feeling about Saquon, it's
I also
okay.
just don't like Saquon.
Oh, okay, just don't like him.
Yeah, like, I don't know.
Certified hater Chris is on the podcast.
I am a
today.
certified hater.
No, I like it. There
Also,
is absolutely concerns about Saquon. We saw him at his absolute worst, and the guy just has never had a great season since that rookie year. And it's like, how many years are we going to keep giving this guy another chance? On a new team now, maybe he figures it out, but there's always a chance he doesn't.
I think taking him in the first round was the mistake. I think in the second round it would have been fine. But
so him picking at 112, that was a bad pick, but if you picked him at 201, that would have been okay.
Okay, not that, but I mean just in general, like if somebody were to take him where, like, let's say Travis Etienne is, I would say be fine.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay, you have him in
It's
Etienne,
just-
into Etienne, Pacheco, Etienne range. I get it. Would you have gone Taylor then if you were Billy, or would you?
I think so.
Okay.
I definitely would have.
Yeah.
Because I think Jonathan Taylor has proved himself more than Saquon Barkley.
I totally get it. Josh, what were your thoughts on the Saquon Barkley pick?
It did surprise me, especially considering how it was Billy. Like, I remember me and Maliki had a small bet going whether or not he'd go Mahomes, Kelsey back-to-back in the first 2 picks.
Not every year can you do that. Not every year can you do that.
Yeah. But the fact that he went Saquon, and I think, if I remember correctly, Jahmyr Gibbs was still on the board. So, and I know, Rams running back, I forgot his name right now.
Kyren Williams,
Kyren Williams. Because I know those 2 were still on the board. I would have easily rather had one of them over Saquon any day, because I'm kind of with Chris. I think he's being a little overvalued right now. I don't think he's going to have that touchdown upside that he would have had if he was a Giants, so to me he should be a little bit lower than he was, but yeah.
I like it. Chris, did you have any other picks you really didn't like?
Just Maliki getting 3 quarterbacks.
You are the second person. I'm pretty sure Sam said
I hate
that.
it. I hate it.
Just anti three quarterbacks. Well, he only has two now. He has dropped Herbert, picked up rookie receiver Jalen Polk from the Patriots instead.
That's going to be an amazing pickup. This is facetious, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I couldn't tell.
The Patriots passing game is going to be dookie balls. It's going to be so bad.
You heard it here first,
Yeah.
folks. The Patriots
Dookie
passing
balls.
game, straight from Chris the hater's mouth, is dookie balls.
I am a certified hater. I got to make up for Ethan not being in the call right now.
We'll see if we can get him on later, get him to throw some hate as well. But appreciate you taking up that mantle right now. Well, is there anything else you wanted to share? Any thoughts about the draft? Doing it in person this year. Any thoughts about, punishment? Might be doing like a spicy wing challenge or whatever next year.
I loved doing it in person. It was just a lot of fun. The
Yeah.
projector, great touch. The venue and food was good. And I'm glad we have a better punishment than just picking the name. Making somebody eat hot wings is going to be hilarious. And hopefully it's not me.
Hopefully it is. I think that would be awesome.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Chris, for joining us today. Anything else you wanted to say to our listeners?
Thanks for having me. Good luck to everybody. And, yeah.
All right. Thanks, Chris. We'll be taking a short break, and then Josh and I will be back with our favorite and least favorite picks. And we are back. It is just Whopper and I now. We are super pumped because we had some awesome guests. They had some spicy takes. Josh, what'd you think?
Some of those takes I agree with, and Sam is definitely wrong on Cooper Cup. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Yeah, he after the call ended, I believe he said you smell bad and are balding. Was that his exact words? Is that correct?
Something along those lines. Spell that, and fair enough. But balding, come on, man. That's just personal now. Even if it's true.
No, we're all good. We love Sam. We appreciate the hate onto Josh's team. Now, just two of us here. Let's go ahead and jump into. I want to start with the teams with the players we liked. That cool with you?
Yep.
All
Works
right.
for me.
I'll go ahead and let you go first then, because it sounds like you've got a guy ready.
So, my favorite players selected in the entire draft. I'm not going to be like everyone else where they're kind of like upper. I'm going deep. I'm going 10th round pick here.
Wow. Okay.
This is a guy I think if things go correctly for him, that's a big if considering on the team that he's with. I could see this guy coming down as a high-end wide receiver too at best. That's Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
Carolina
Woo-hoo.
Panther. Your 10th round pick. I remember when I got there, I ended up picking Trey Benson that round because I needed one more running back. I was looking at him, I was like, should I take him? I need another running back. I'll go running back instead. But the entire time I'm eyeing him because if things work out, if Bryce Young takes that step forward, if the line just improves a little bit, I can realistically see Deontay Johnson becoming a high-end wide receiver too. He's great for PPR. He's always been a PPR machine, and we are a PPR league. So when you add those factors in, if under Canales, Bryce Young takes a step forward, even if he's just better than what he was last year, I think he will be just fine.
Yeah, I'm a believer. Obviously, I drafted him. He was the wide receiver 8 in 2021 with Ben Roethlisberger, and then the last 2 years with Kenny Pickett. Just couldn't seem to get back to what we've seen. But I think that he's such a route runner, such a great route runner. He has the technician abilities, and he's going to get open, and that's what Bryce Young needs, is somebody to get open. And I think he could realistically lead the team in targets by a very high margin. And we saw when Adam Thielen was doing that, he was fantasy relevant. Deontay Johnson's way better than Adam Thielen, and this should be a lot better offense in general. This could go really well with that.
Exactly. If it wasn't for the fact I needed another running back, I would have easily taken him there. But unfortunately, I needed another running back.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and jump over to my favorite pick of the draft. And I think, when I'm thinking about this, I think it was my favorite pick of every single player picked, including my own team. I loved Mark Andrews on Chris's team at the 507. There was this weird run with tight ends in the fourth round where you went McBride, I got Laporta, Kincaid went 411, Kelsey had already gone in the 3, and then I was just like, okay, Andrews is about to go. But since we lined it up like that, there wasn't really a chance for him to go until Kyler was back on the clock in the fifth round, and he chose to go with Kittle instead, which I can understand. Kittle's always a consistent guy. Brandon went Rashee Rice because Rice is awesome, and then it's back to you with McBride, and it's like, whoa, we just saw so many picks go without Mark Andrews, who could be the overall tight end one. This guy was awesome when healthy last year. And then Chris just gets him at the 507, and it's like, man, what a steal on Mark Andrews, because we saw this crazy run of tight ends, and he was still available. He's my personal tight end 2 behind Kelsey. In my own personal rankings, I have him, tight end 3 behind Laporta and Kelsey. But I think that guy's awesome.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. If it wasn't for the fact that I was on McBride that entire time, I would probably gone Andrews. Just because I think McBride has just a little bit more upside than him. He's not as safe, but he has more upside.
Yeah, being younger
Plus, I was
and
trying
just
to go for that. Yeah.
Yeah, being younger and
Let's
just
go
the
for that McBride
Kyler
and
stack. Yeah.
Curry stack.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally understand
Yeah,
that.
that was
Mark Andrews was a pick I liked a lot. So go ahead and tell me, what was your next pick that you really liked?
So I'm trying to remember, and right now, because I'm driving, I can't really pull up the list in front of me without endangering the person that's going 64 in front of me. Trying to think here. Of course, your CMC pick, because Preston was Preston for some reason.
Yeah,
I was happy with my CD Lamb pick.
Yeah, not everyone was there in person, so we kind of explain the story there. Preston went 101 Michael Penix, as we know, and Maliki walked into the draft wearing an Isaiah Pacheco shirt and said that he had his number 2 pick locked in no matter what happened with the first pick.
Yep.
And to me, that was like, okay, he's definitely going, it's going to be CeeDee Lamb or Christian McCaffrey. He's just going to go with the other guy that, Preston doesn't take. And then it went Bijan. And I'm guessing he planned that because he was like, okay, it's going to be McCaffrey, then I'm going Bijan. I'll get the number 2 RB. And I just don't think he thought it all the way through. So that's how I got McCaffrey at 103. But
because when he explained it to me, because he talked to me right before the draft about what he was thinking, and he knew he was fine talking to me about this because there's no way in hell I was going to be able to get Bijan if he was going to take him anyways.
Sure.
But he was just like, even if CMC is available, I'm going to go Bijan because I just think he's going to do better this season.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, if you got feeling.
It could absolutely happen. Bijan was awesome last year. He had like an 18% target share, which is just a crazy number for a running back. And it's just like, we just need him to be used a little bit more in the run game, and he'll be great.
Exactly.
All right.
So, of course, your CMC pick was just, it fell into your lap. I'm envious.
Yeah, next pick that I really liked was one of your picks, and that was Javonte Williams at the 807. You were the last person, we just figured this out with Sam. You were the last person to take an RB2, and I think you got a guy who has RB1 overall, or not overall, or as an RB1 fantasy. Top 12 guy finish in the 8th round as your running back 2, and I think that is a fantastic pick. He was a guy I was really hoping would fall to me at 810. I was considering him there at 703 when I took Richardson. I just needed a quarterback more than I needed another running back. And Javonte, the Broncos pass to the running back at like a 33% rate or something. Just a crazy amount. Every team is averaging at like 20, and they're giving a whole extra 100 targets to the running back position. And it's just like, man, that does a lot for fantasy points. That is a lot of PPR points that are going to the running back. So Javonte Williams, I thought, was awesome.
Yeah. No, I was happy that you passed on him because he was one of those running backs every time when I practice in mock drafts. He always seemed like one of those running backs that would fall to me right around that area. So he's just always one of those that's been on the board. And I like Javonte Williams. I think he's going to be fantastic. He does have that RB1 upside if they use him correctly and he doesn't get hurt in Denver. I think he has potential to be a top 10 running back.
Yeah, let's hope he gets back to what he was because he was really special. All right, did you have a third pick that you really liked or, not being able to see the draft board? Is that?
For me, it's Gardner Minshew just because it's Gardner Minshew.
It was such a special pick for Ethan to get Gardner Minshew. And it was so funny last year that he had him on his team too when he was the backup on the Colts. And then it was like Richardson went down and now Ethan has a starting quarterback on his roster that is just a meme. Yeah, it's just pretty funny to me. I was laughing at that.
I love Gardner.
I'll go ahead and share a couple guys that were honorable mentions for me. Rome Odunze on Billy's team, I like with Tyjae Spears and Chase Brown. Billy had this run of just love Spears, Odunze, Chase Brown that it was like, man, I like all these guys. This is some good picks from Billy. That was a good draft. Sam had Jalen Warren, who I like a lot. That guy's a great pass catcher. We want those guys to catch a lot of passes. Here's somebody like Jonathan Brooks on Chris's team. He's here, he started Breece Hall and Aaron Jones, and it's like, okay, that is, Jones should be a great guy at the start of the season, and then Brooks could finish out the team as his RB2. That's, I think, a great combo. I like that pick a lot. And then Blake Corum on Brandon's team was just awesome. If, for whatever reason, Kyron Williams isn't the guy, Blake Corum in the 10th round is just an absolute steal, and I liked that pick a lot. But the guy that I like, one of the most, one of my favorite picks of every single pick was surprisingly on Preston's team. DeAndre Hopkins at the 11:01, I thought was such an absolute steal. So I don't know how much you were following ADP, this whole preseason and everything, but DeAndre Hopkins was like a 6th round pick or so. And he was going above Calvin Ridley. And then news came out that he was injured and was potentially going to be on the IR, was potentially going to be on the PUP, was going to miss the start of the season. And he just dropped. And then he dropped, and he dropped, and he dropped, and he dropped, he dropped. And then he was like a 9th round pick or so, which is what his like ADP is at right now. It's a 9th, 10th round pick. And somehow Preston still got him in the 11th. And now Hopkins is supposed to not miss any time. Like, he's supposed to play week 1. And it's like, this guy's getting a guy who was a 6th round pick now all the way down here at 11. And it's like, what a steal for Preston. And considering that's a starting guy for him with this 11th pick of how his team turned out, that's a great job. I think he'll be really happy with that.
Yeah. I say it was a fantastic pickup. Just really good value there.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and transition then to the least favorite picks. I know you've got a combo, so I'll just go ahead and share. I'll jump to my first one. And I just complimented his team, a couple times there. Chris's team, I really liked a lot of the picks. But Aaron Jones, Jonathan Brooks, as the only 2 running backs really worries me. And so the Christian Kirk pick, I don't like. Christian Kirk, I think, is a guy who just has the ceiling of about a 20% target share. He's just going to be an average guy on the team. We know the Jaguars just aren't going to be that good. And I really think that Chris could have used a running back there. And Javonte Williams, Gus Edwards, Jalen Warren, these all were these guys who went after. Even Chase Brown, that I think he should have probably picked there. So that was a pick I didn't like.
Yeah.
All right,
That
I'll
one
go.
makes sense.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and throw it to you. What was your least favorite pick?
So I'm combining my most surprising and least favorite into one, just because of when this guy went. And just a while ago, you started praising this guy's team. It's time to tear Preston down a little bit. The pick is Caleb Williams.
Wow.
So, yes. I know a lot of people think, for lack of a better term, Williams might be the next Mahomes. He definitely has the talent. However, I am a very firm believer, and he is overrated as hell.
Crazy.
I remember watching some. Yeah, I remember watching some of his college games. Keep in mind, he's at USC. He has Lincoln Riley, so Baker Mayfield comes from that. Jalen Hurts came from that. Kyler Murray came from that. Great offensive system. And here's the stat that stood out to me more than anything else. And USC always has some of the best offensive weapons. When he was going up against a team that was not ranked in the top 25, he was fantastic. He was throwing for like 400 yards, 4 tutties, and maybe a pick once every 3 games. Which, considering how he played in Pac-12, that's a lot. But here's the catcher. As soon as he started playing a top 25 team, his numbers went from like 400 down to like 250, which is still solid. But now you're not going against Pac-12 defenses that, unless you're one of those top 4 teams where, how do I say it, they kind of sucked. So now you're going up against NFL caliber defenses. In college, you could not throw against a somewhat decent defense. I mean, hell, Utah shut them down almost completely, it felt like. And now you're telling me that even though this guy has one of the best receiving rooms with DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze, then you throw into the trio running backs Herbert, Roshan Johnson, and Swift, I don't see it. I think he's going to be, I won't say necessarily a bust, but I think he's definitely not worth a number 1 overall pick. And I don't remember what round Preston picked him in. It was way too early if you're going to try to pick him up. I do not think Caleb Williams is going to be good at all this year. I think he's overrated. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk.
Yeah, wow. I did not know you were such a Caleb Williams hater. This is interesting because I am a huge believer.
Yes.
I totally see the next Mahomes in him. He went ahead of Kyler Murray, C.J. Stroud, Joe Burrow, Jordan Love. Went 2 rounds ahead of Anthony Richardson. Went 4 rounds ahead of Dak Prescott. And went 7 rounds ahead of Brock Purdy, Jaden Daniels, Trevor Lawrence. I agree. That was a bit high. I just see the vision too much. I see just the potential of just this awesome receiver group, though I do hate his offensive coordinator. I think it'll work out, but I totally get it.
And just to add insult to injury to Caleb Williams' name, I'm a proud Chiefs fan. I've been a Chiefs fan since 2008 when we injured Tom Brady in the first game of the season. I'd rather have Bo Nix over Caleb Williams this year.
Wow. I can't get on that. I don't like Bo Nix. I think that guy's bad, but I understand the hate.
I just think this guy's overrated as hell. I don't think he's going to do good. I mean, you look at the preseason, most of his drives are actually 3 and outs, but you only see the highlights.
Understandable. I was going to transition on to my next guy that I don't like, but I don't think I dislike Zamir White as much as you did Caleb Williams, so I might just have to rack it up and not talk about him. I don't think Zamir White's going to be used as much as he needs to be any good, so I just don't like that pick.
That makes sense.
The other pick was Dalton Schultz, tight end 2 for Maliki. I don't get that guy at all there. I think Dalton Schultz is just a guy. He should be down there in the Cole Kmet range in the 12th round, and it's now a backup tight end for Maliki. Dalton Schultz had like a career year. Last year he finished as the tight end 10, 150 points in 15 games. That means he averaged 10 points per game in his best year since 2021 with Dallas. And it's like, And it's you're not starting him at
Yeah.
flex with just 10 points per game. That's bad. That's a below average starter. So I didn't like that pick. Um,
Understandable.
yeah. All right. Well, did you have any other picks you did not like, or any surprise guys? Any surprise picks?
Trying to remember. Obviously, you have Malachi going 3 QBs still, because
Uh-huh.
I mean we just gotta keep bringing that one
Yeah.
up.
Who doesn't want to say that a
Uh,
third time?
Even though this was auto draft, it's still funny how it happened. How basically Milo has the entire Eagles offense now,
Uh-huh.
because he has AJ Brown, he has Devontae Smith, he has Jalen Hurts, he also has the kicker in Dallas Goedert.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only he's missing is Saquon.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to highlight that one, even though it's auto pick, because Milo unfortunately was too busy to join the draft when it was happening. I just thought it was funny to mention that, how his team is basically the Philadelphia Eagles plus Najee Harris.
Yeah, he clearly got a lot of great players. You know, the Eagles have a lot of good fantasy players, but yeah, it is a bit too many of them on one team.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go ahead and jump into guys that I found really surprising. J.K. Dobbins, right there, 1102 for Maliki. I thought was a really good pick and a really surprising one. You know, this is a guy who we don't know really. So you have Gus Edwards. I don't think their rookie got drafted in this one. I'm trying to look to see if I see his name.
So I don't think he did.
Kamani Vidal is his name. Yeah, I don't think he was drafted. I don't see him. We don't know who's going to be the lead running back for the Chargers, and we know it's going to be a run-heavy team. J.K. Dobbins could be the guy. It could be Gus Edwards. We don't know. And it sounds like they really like Dobbins. I think that was a good pick. And it was one that like surprised me because it was like, when is someone going to take the shot on J.K. Dobbins? You know, on Gus Edwards, and 11th round is when Maliki did that. So that one surprised me.
Because I remember, because again, I was the one sitting next to him during the draft, and every now and then he'd ask me my thoughts on players. I told him, like, if Dobbins is healthy, he's a fantastic running back. It's just, can he stay healthy for a season?
Yeah.
So
he has one
if
of
he
the
stays healthy, it's definitely,
Yeah, he has one of the career, like, of all players in the history of the NFL. J.K. Dobbins has one of the highest, like, yards per rush attempt in the history of the NFL. It's crazy what this guy's able to average when he's healthy. He just can't stay healthy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hopefully moving to the other coastline helps.
All right, so what? Yeah, that's true. Did you have any other picks that you found really surprising? I've got one more myself, if not.
So I'm trying to think off of memory now. So that's really the only one I could think of.
Okay, I'll go with the one that I think you just missed. Brock Purdy went to Ethan's team at 1204, and I can't believe it. We're talking about, let me get the exact, he was the QB6 last year. He has all of the same weapons, all of the same players. He got upgrade at offensive line and should be just a great season for Brock Purdy. And Ethan got him as his starting quarterback all the way in the 12th round after picking a kicker in defense. And I just...
Yeah.
I can't believe that everybody let him fall. I mean, we all had starting quarterbacks. You know, we filled out everyone had picked their starting quarterback by the 9th round. So that just meant Ethan got to wait forever and pick up Brock Purdy. And then he went in the same range as Jaden Daniels, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert. And it's like, wow, this guy's a lot better than those guys, you know, at least for fantasy. I know you hate him, but...
Yeah, I got my personal vendetta against Brock Purdy, but that mostly does stem from college, unfortunately. So I won't get ready for another TED Talk here, but the one thing I will say about that, because, yeah, now that I think about it, I am surprised that Maliki didn't take him, because I know Maliki loves him.
Yeah, obviously Shaheed and Dobbins were the two picks, you know, before Purdy that he took, that Maliki took, so he could have gone Purdy with either of those, but I do like those guys as well. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Josh, were there any other thoughts? What were your personal takeaways from the in-person draft? I know it was a bit longer drive for you than anyone else. Maybe last year Ethan will hop in the car with you, make it easier.
Hopefully, it'll be nice to have someone to talk to for a 4-hour drive, because it sucks. But it's definitely worth the drive, 100%. And I got to see all you guys again, which I don't get to do that very often anymore. Love the venue. The venue was great. The food there was pretty good. And it was just fun doing an in-person draft once again, because last year when we had to do it over Discord, it was fine and everything, but in-person is just that much better in my opinion.
Yeah, totally agree.
That and for my personal draft, it went a lot better than what I was expecting.
It's a good team. I think there's a lot of good
teams.
With Chris.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Chris. I don't like to be right smack in the middle pretty much. And I was picking 6. I'm right smack in the middle. But I think it worked out. So hopefully this team works out really well, because I want that trophy back. That thing cost me a lot of money.
Well, we appreciate you taking the sacrifice and getting it, because that thing is awesome. I think that about wraps up for the Fall Star Fantasy Podcast. We appreciate all of our listeners who stuck around for the entire thing. We will see you all next time.